What is up, DS3 TV? We are back for another video. This one is the Ottoman, another Ottoman Empire video. This isn't in order with the other ones. I mean, most of the other ones aren't technically in order, and they kind of fit you in anyway. So that's why I thought, yeah, I could do this one along with the other Ottoman Empire videos. This one was recommended to me by a subscriber, so thought what's better to let's get into it. I don't know how to say that name. That the battle was actually called after. I don't know how to say that city's name, so I'm not even gonna attempt it. But it's from 1566, and yeah, it's Kings and Generals. We love Kings and Generals on this channel. Also subscribe to the channel. Want to get 1,000 subscribers by Valentine's Day, and also you can put videos that you want me to react to in the comment section down below, and also follow my Twitch channel. Link is in the description down below. Click the arrow right under the video. Should be like right under the video. So yeah, let's get into it and play.
To an onlooker in 1526, the Ottomans looked unstoppable. In the span of 2 centuries, they had crushed the Byzantine remnants, conquered their rivals in Anatolia, and swept through Eastern Europe. Egypt, the seat of mighty empires for 6 centuries, was reduced to an Ottoman province. And at Mohács, the Hungarian kingdom that had held them at bay for a century and a half was shattered by Sultan Suleiman. But at Eger and Malta, the Ottomans were turned back, and their struggle with the Austrian Habsburgs over Hungary continued. Today, with the siege of Szigetvar, we will talk about Suleiman's last
Szigetvar, that's how you say it. I didn't know how to say that.
Campaign. Shout out to Magellan TV for sponsoring this video. We've been working with Magellan for a while, and we cannot recommend them enough. Magellan is a new type of documentary streaming membership, founded by filmmakers, their team of producers and curators that bring together. If you enjoy our videos on the Ottoman Empire, on any device, without any ads and no, intended especially for Kings and Generals viewers. During the 1550s, John Sigismund Zapoya retained the increasingly meaningless title of King of Hungary, but was reduced
it's the increasingly meaningless title
to rulership of Transylvania as his overlord Suleiman's attention.
I did not know that that Spain ruled Italy for a time. I didn't know that, like part of Italy. That's actually kind of crazy.
Again turned to his eastern frontier and to Malta. From the death of his mother in 1559 until the next outbreak of war in 1566, John ruled a kingdom theoretically at peace, but was forced to deal with several revolts among the old Hungarian nobility. The wealthy Melchior Balascia in 1561 defected to the Austrian Emperor Ferdinand, bringing most Hungarian territory outside of Transylvania and the direct Ottoman pashaliks with him. Without Ottoman support, John's attempt to bring Balascia back in line ended in disaster at Hadad in 1562. Ethnic tensions within Hungary also brought about further revolts, while John's conversion to Protestantism fueled court division in staunchly Catholic Hungary. As his vassal's kingdom dealt with this internal strife, the aged and gout-stricken Suleiman assembled his army in 1566, intending to strike again at Eger, this time aiming to seize it before continuing on to Vienna. But with Suleiman now too feeble to personally lead, the real leadership of the army fell into the hands of the ambitious Grand Vizier Sokollu Mehmed Pasha. Leading the local Balkan army was his nephew Mustafa, the Beylerbey of Bosnia. Mobilization was slow for the massive army that left Constantinople, and after departing on May 1st, it took Suleiman and Sokollu Mehmed Pasha a full 49 days to reach Belgrade, where Suleiman met with Zapoya and promised to bring the whole of Hungary into his vassal's hands.
Oh wow.
During this time, Mustafa captured 2 cities, Dvornauni and Krupa, while encountering minimal Habsburg resistance. As Suleiman and his Grand Vizier marched towards Eger, a small Habsburg army, composed mostly of Croatians, struck at Siklos to Suleiman's south, routing an Ottoman army out of Greece. The Hungarian-Croatian army was led by Nikola Zubich Zrinski, a general who had fought with distinction at the Siege of Vienna decades earlier. After his victory at Siklos, he had the Ottoman commander, Sanjak Bey Muhammad of Trikala, executed. This drew the ire of Suleiman, as Muhammad was a favourite of the Sultan. The insult of this execution, combined with the threat Zrinski posed unchecked in southern Hungary, caused the main Ottoman army to change course to eliminate Zrinski in his base at Sigitvar near Pécs. Sigitvar was no great prize. While it had foiled minor Ottoman advances in past wars, it held little strategic value for Suleiman's current campaign, especially with the Habsburg army assembling at Vienna. And even before Suleiman arrived at Sigitvar, his diversion was costing the Ottomans, with several cities in northern Hungary falling to the Austrians. But with an army of over 100,000 facing fewer than 3,000 in Sigitvar, Suleiman expected it to be a short siege. Mustafa would serve as both a general and a diplomat, with both Ottoman and Habsburg records remembering him positively. Less beloved was the ambitious Shesuvar, Bey of Szolnok, who marched with Suleiman to Sigitvar. Shesuvar was infamous among the Hungarians as a brutal overlord, among the Austrians as a marauding plunderer, and among his peers in the Ottoman elite as a self-serving careerist with no regard for the laws and treaties of the Sultan. Yet he was able to command unswerving loyalty from his own soldiers, as the coming siege would demonstrate. Suleiman arrived at Sigitvar on the 5th of August 1566. Though lightly manned, its unusual layout made it a difficult fortress to attack. It was split into 3 sections: the Old Town, the New Town and the Citadel, each on a separate island connected only by narrow causeways. The nearby Almas River fed an artificial lake encircling the 3 fortress islands. Though the scorching summer of 1566 had caused the lake protecting the fortress to become shallower than normal, there was no sign of fear from the defenders, who had decorated the walls with bright red cloth as if in celebration. A single cannon was fired to welcome the Ottomans, who began their siege in earnest with an assault on the New Town on August 6th. Despite support from large batteries of Ottoman cannons, the attack was repulsed with heavy losses, and despite having far fewer guns, the defenders were able to carry out an effective counter-barrage against the Ottoman cannons. But in the face of overwhelming Ottoman numbers, this victory was short-lived. Under the aggressive guidance of Shesuvar Bey, the Ottomans launched another fierce attack on August 9th, capturing the New Town. The first of the 3 island forts was now in Ottoman hands, but at great cost. Between the 2 assaults, Suleiman's army suffered more than 3,000 casualties, compared to 300 losses for Zrinski's Croat and Hungarian army, which withdrew in good order to the Old Town.
Yeah, Suleiman, he should have never, honestly, I realized that did hurt him, in an emotional sense, but honestly, this probably wasn't the best use of his time, considering that he really wanted to gain more territory and defeat the Hungarian force too.
The Old Town was a more difficult prize, well defended and difficult to approach. But Shesuvar had little patience for anything but constant offensives. After 10 assaults in 10 days, the Old Town fell as well on August 19th. With only the citadel left and Zrinski's men dwindling, the sickly Suleiman offered favourable terms of surrender in the hopes of avoiding any further lost time. If Zrinski would turn over the citadel, he would be made Lord of all Croatia under Ottoman vassalage. In the early stages of the siege, Zrinski had been hoping for Austrian reinforcements from the Imperial army at Vienna. By the time Suleiman's offer was made, it was clear to the defenders that no help was coming. But despite the seemingly hopeless position he was in, Zrinski ignored the offer and gave no response to the Ottomans, choosing instead to fight to the last. Sokollu Mehmed Pasha, a native of Herzegovina himself, also attempted to bypass Zrinski and sway the defending soldiers directly. Letters in Croatian and Hungarian were fired into the castle walls with arrows, promising to spare the defenders if they allowed the Ottomans entry. This effort was met with no more success. Unbeknownst to either Suleiman or Mehmed, Zrinski had on the first day of the siege sworn before his soldiers to defend Sigitvar to his last breath, and threatened the execution of any soldier who neglected his duties or conspired with the Ottomans. If the Ottomans wanted Sigitvar, they would have to take it by force. Taking advantage of the shallower water, the Ottoman army used debris to build their own causeways to open up further points of assault. And true to form, Shesuvar Bey launched several more direct assaults supported by heavy cannon fire. The first assault on the citadel was a failure, as was the second, launched on August 29th, the anniversary of the Battle of Mohacs. Despite Shesuvar's confident assertion to Suleiman that the auspicious day would bring them their victory, the Ottomans remained unable to enter the citadel. After another failure on September 1st, nearly a month after the siege began, the relentless Ottoman attacks ceased. For the next few days they held their positions in the old town, leaving the scant 600 remaining defenders to wonder when the hammer would drop. 4 days later, on September 5th, the Ottoman sappers fired a mine they'd dug over the past 2 weeks. A massive explosion destroyed a corner of the wall, creating a massive breach and setting many of the buildings inside ablaze. Zrinski knew the end was near, as an Ottoman attack through the breach could come at any moment and would be impossible for his depleted force to fend off. But to Zrinski's surprise, no attack came on September 5th or 6th. Despite the opening, the Ottoman army continued to hold its position. To the rank-and-file Ottoman soldiers, the delay was just as much a mystery. Only Sokollu Mehmed Pasha and a close inner circle knew the true reason for the delay. Suleiman the Magnificent had died in his tent, aged 72, but out of concern that news of Suleiman's death might undermine morale, Mehmed kept it secret for 48 days, even having the Sultan's personal physician strangled. As the army was brought back to order on September 7th for the final attack, Zrinski readied his men for a sortie, unwilling to let the final battle be on Ottoman terms. After a stirring speech to his troops, Zrinski had the fortress door thrown open and a large mortar fired into the Ottoman troops massed on the causeway in preparation for the final assault. With the ranks of Janissaries thrown into chaos, Zrinski led his remaining soldiers in a headlong charge against the enemy, taking the causeway before being enveloped by the thousands of Janissaries in the old town. Zrinski himself was hit by 2 bullets and killed as the charge began, but the men he'd led fought to the last. With the defenders gone, the Ottomans stormed into the battered citadel. Shesuvar Bey, after being brought to Zrinski's body, had it beheaded, with the head sent to Sultan Selim as a trophy. The Ottomans had not seen the end of Zrinski's resistance though, and shortly after the Turks entered the citadel, the powder magazine exploded, killing 3,000 more after a siege that had already cost them upwards of 20,000 for little tangible gain.
Oh wow.
After Sigitvar's fall, despite the path to Vienna lying open, the Ottoman army's advance stopped. Winter was close upon them. The casualties suffered taking Sigitvar had been in the tens of thousands, and Suleiman's death had shaken the Ottoman Empire to its core. Sigitvar would be the only major Ottoman victory in the campaign Suleiman had intended to finally unify Hungary under Turkish rule. With his nephew Sokollu Mustafa Pasha serving as a diplomat, Sokollu Mehmed Pasha negotiated the Treaty of Adrianople with the Habsburgs on February 17, 1568, with Emperor Maximilian paying 30,000 ducats to Selim and granting the Ottomans authority over Transylvania, Moldavia and Wallachia. Yet the cultural significance of the battle was far greater than its political or military impact. Suleiman's internal organs were buried where he had fallen, and an ornate tomb was built over the site. For the Christians, Sigitvar became synonymous with resistance, so much so that Cardinal Richelieu would later declare it the battle that saved civilization. In both Hungary and Croatia, Zrinski became a national hero, and the siege was immortalized in epic poems in both languages. 3 centuries later, the memory of Sigitvar would even be used by Croatian nationalists as a symbol of resistance against the Austro-Hungarian Empire. Our series on the Ottoman Wars will continue with a video on the Battle of Lepanto, so make sure you are subscribed to our channel. And
that was really good. That was a really good video. So yeah, talk to you guys in the next video, and subscribe to the channel. I want to get 1,000 subscribers by Valentine's Day. And also, you can put videos that you want me to react to in the comment section down below. And follow my Twitch channel. Just click that little heart when you click the link for Twitch in the description. It's like that little arrow that's pointing down. Click that, and you will see the link for my Twitch channel right there. And yeah, so I'll talk to you guys in the next video, and peace.